Grand Rising, everybody. It's Diva Divine, your hostess with the most. And thank you for tuning in today with Video Breakfast TV.
That's right, Diva. This is Cryptid Viking on the mic, your co host, and today you're going to get everything you need the cup of coffee, a main course, and even a side of fruit.
That's right, we're your morning stop for some positivity, a little news, some knowledge, and thoughts about some things going on in today's society, keeping you in the loop. So let's get this show started. So, as we put the kettle on the stove and send a shout out to all of our superheroes on the streets out there today, they may not be Marvel or DC characters, but they are just as super and memorable. That's right, our police force, our firefighters, and EMS workers. We'd like to say thank you at Video Breakfast TV for all that you do on the streets and to the beat to help handle all of our situations in our communities.
Sending a shout out as the kettle begins to whistle to our doctors and nurses and everyone in the medical field, our school and teachers that have been pushing and maintaining through these tough times. All you need to know is that awesome isn't even enough to describe your work in this community.
And one last shout out as we pour the coffee to all the people who go out every day and open stores, do customer service, and everything else there is needed to be done to keep America going, whether at home or in the stores of Walmart. Thanks, everybody.
May everyone out there have a great and positive day. Know that you are appreciated and that all of you are the definition of awesomeness. Thank you. Now let's get started with our plate of breakfast.
Grand Rising, everybody.
Let's serve some breakfast and talk about the top 5 things going on in the world today that you should be paying attention to.
Oh, yeah.
Former nurse Rhonda Vaught speaks out after sentencing. The invasion of immigration, Texas calls it. The Great Resignation. The Nation report card shows a dip in math and reading. And the parent state of America. All right, let's go ahead and start off with number 1, Diva Divine.
Oh, yes, Cryptid Viking. Well, she got a funny name here. You messed it up. It's easy to mess up. I thought it was Rolanda, but it's Radonda. Radonda Vaught. This was an interesting piece, Cryptid. I know when we talked about this, we said this is something we want to talk about. It's concerning because I'm in remission for 3 months now. I deal with the medical field because I'm getting service from nurses and doctors, and they're pretty good. Shout out to Dr. Brightwell. But Redonda, I was looking into this Cryptid, and I don't know how you feel about it, but I'm just gonna say some things what she said, and then I'm gonna put it on blast here. Okay, so the nurse Redonda, what she felt like a scapegoat, and I want to say the definition of a scapegoat is a person who is blamed for the wrongdoings or faults of others, and it says she's remorseful. And what happened, if I'm not mistaken, when I looked at this situation, Cryptid, is she accidentally gave a patient the wrong medicine, which caused some serious health complications, and the patient ended up dying. And she ended up going to court, and it was a long ordeal. I'm not really going to go into all of the facts. You can look this up also to see for yourself. She went through a long court case, and I guess she ended up getting probation. The patient's name was Charlene Murphy. She was 75, and she was basically supposed to get a medical scan. And then she died because they considered it gross neglect. And Redonda took the wrong drug out of the medicine cabinet. They say she didn't properly search for the correct drug in the medicine cabinet. She overrode the computer. And basically, this wasn't a simple mistake. I mean, what's your thoughts on this, Cryptid?
My thoughts on that is, as somebody who has been a home health aide and who has been in the nursing field once, I feel as it is more of a serious matter instead of, as I find out, they only convicted her of 3 years of probation.
Yeah.
Now, I'm not one to say, but instead of her being on probation, do you think she should have been in some real jail time?
I mean, honestly speaking, I mean, I know that other nurses had their, posters and billboards out and was like protecting nurses, but I feel like there should have been. The lady died because of neglect. And to my understanding, when we talked earlier about this subject, he told me that this wasn't the only case of this. And don't get me wrong, I am thankful for our doctors, our nurses, but to me, this is an extreme case. She took the wrong drug out the cabinet. She overrode the computer. She didn't verify with the pharmacy. She didn't even type in the correct name of the medication. And she disregarded the warning label that said paralyzing agent. And she didn't ask the second nurse to verify medication, and she didn't scan the wristband to verify the drug, because I know when I'm getting something, whether it's in the hospital, an emergency room, or you, right, they scan your wrist. So, I just feel like she should have gotten more, because somebody died because of this. And even though, didn't they say something about she had a trainee that was shadowing her? Didn't they said something about that,
Rhonda
right?
did say that she had a trainee shouting her, so she was slightly distracted.
Oh, what? Distracted to the point where she couldn't put the right medicine in?
I feel as that is just her using a trainee as an scapegoat. That is the true definition of what a scapegoat would be.
And I mean, yeah, but as far as scapegoat, the one thing that I will say, the only thing that I will hold the hospital responsible for is the fact that they're letting their nurses override computers. And this is at the Vanderbilt Medical Facility. I did send them an email, but the facility has not answered us yet. And it's been like, what, a month or so? And we didn't get any answers. But, Crypta, other nurses are backing up her actions. Do you feel like this is legitimate? I mean, I understand it's a fellow co-worker or a fellow nurse and you all stand for nursing, but don't they take some type of oath that at the same time, if you go in this field, I mean, you're responsible, right?
Indeed, they do not take responsibility for their actions, and that even leads into this not being the only case, because in early April before Vought, we had somebody called William, a former Ohio physician who was acquitted of murder in April, as he had a hand in killing 14 ill patients. William and her also did not receive any severe jail time, and they did not pay any settlement to help the families in crisis at that moment.
I mean, so what? So now everybody's getting a pass now? I mean, with things being the way that they are, and since the court rulings are going in his favor, I would, tell everybody out there, if you ever have to go to the doctor or see a nurse, if they're going to get medication, you better check behind that nurse and that doctor, because people make mistakes. But apparently some mistakes, is a slap on the hand. And I mean, Charlene Murphy, the 75-year-old who was just supposed to get a routine medical scan, she died because of Redonda, Vought's neglect. And that's neglect. And even though she said that the trainee had her distracted, like you said, to me, still, that's not an excuse. You have a life in your hand. That's what this comes down to. You have any other thoughts on that, or?
I believe that we have a system where we put ill patients in the hands of incapable people. And I feel as a society, we need to look at it as a broader standpoint. Instead of looking at William and Vought as the main problems, we should take a step back and look at the system of our medical system, especially in America, and say, is the medical system that we go to morally corrupt?
Yeah, you know what? That is a point that you're making right there, because, in some countries, the doctor doesn't even get paid until the patient is recovered, correct?
Correct.
Yeah, and so they've made it like a cattle business. Shuffle them in, shuffle them out. Give them pharmaceutical meds. When more, and I know this is a little bit maybe off the road, but to me, it all kind of combines together. A little more care and compassion, and not making huge neglectful mistakes, need to be looked at in. Or, maybe they need a motivational coach once a month to come to the hospitals, motivate. The nurses looking more. I mean, I know that they were swamped due to COVID and things of the sort, and a lot of nurses walked out. But still, even in these situations that are brought about or what they're working in, they still are held to a higher standard. That's like, if I maybe the two is like apples and oranges, but I kind of look at it the same way. Tell me if you agree with me. It's like being the president of the United States, grabbing the jet from the White House, going over to the strip club, dancing on a pole as the president, and then getting back on the jet, and then your video going viral, and the president saying, "Oh, my bad. I neglect to realize that I'm not allowed to do that because it's going to have repercussions on me as the president." And I feel like that's the same things with nurses and doctors. I know that was kind of broad, but I just, trying to be a little jokester.
A broader standpoint. That's understandable.
Yeah. But I mean, that's my take on it. Do you have anything else to say about it?
The only thing I would have to say is anyone who listens, take heed when going to a hospital. Always do your research. I believe if we start standing up as a forefront, and I understand that these are nurses and doctors that take care of us as patients, but if we stand up as a forefront to demand the right to see what's going on behind that computer screen, we will have a better medical system.
I most definitely. I know if I'm going to get any medicine, I'm going to check the nurse twice. I'll be like, "Hey, are you awake?" And I'll say Redonda. Like, what kind of Redonda? To be like, "What's she mean?" It's just like a little joke. But no, we appreciate all the nurses and doctors. This isn't us trying to get on you. We're just saying this for the ones that could be neglectful. Is that the word I want to use?
That is the word.
I'm just putting that out there. I guess you want to go on to the next one, the invasion of the immigrants.
Yes.
I mean, at least that's what Texas calls it. We live in Texas. We see a lot.
Yes.
And, the invasion of the immigrants. I'll let you go first this time. What's your thoughts on it?
The immigrant invasion has become more and more of a problem, especially in communities in Texas. We have less than 1,000 residents in Texas currently. The residents, everybody live in fear of an invasion. Invasion. In the county judge, Taylor County, has already stated this multiple times. We have zero border patrol, and we have more and more people funneling over here.
Oh, you're talking about Dale Lynn Carruthers, the county judge. Okay. And others, they talked about migrants crossing through school campuses and putting lives in danger while trying to flee the U.S. Border Patrol agents and the local state authorities. I mean, to my understanding, there's been 274,000 migrant apprehensions. 16,900 criminal arrests. And this is smugglers and human traffickers. There's been over 22,000 turnbacks. And along with this, millions of lethal doses of fentanyl that's been seized. I mean, it's time for President Biden and for both parties in Congress to do their jobs and secure the southern border. I'll be plain and simple. So I want to take up for Abbott for a second. I don't know about Florida's, governor and how he did what he did. I don't know what that was all about. Shipping the immigrants over there to that little island. Was that Rhode Island? There was some little island on New York that is like, where all the, if you're somebody and means of money. That was a big deal because I guess they were not supposed to go anywhere towards there. But, I mean, Abbott is just trying to make a stand. I don't look at it as a political stunt. For it to be a political stunt, to me, a political stunt is, okay, so you're pulling something and what you're doing really does not help anything. It's just what it is, a stunt. But I don't think this is a stunt. I think this is Texas' way of saying, hey, everybody, We're getting hundreds and thousands of people a week, not a month, not every other 2 months. I'm talking about a week or in a day's time. And you heard the numbers. I mean, Abbott's press secretary, Renee East, said that all strategies remain on the table because Texas basically has to step up in the federal government's absence. And I mean, is that because it's mainly Republican here or what? I mean, if anything, I feel like on their side it's political. We're not political. We're busing them to other states because we're trying to spread them out because we don't have enough resources here. Meanwhile, while all the other states are cushioning everything, I mean, you can take it from there, Cryptid. I got a lot to say.
I feel as if it's more of a standpoint for most states. As of Texas, it's taking the foreblunt of not just people coming from the southern border. We recently had a huge pile-on of, what was it that came through?
The
Haitians.
Yes, we
almost
did.
Thousands upon thousands of Haitians were dropped in Texas. And Abbott trying to make it easier for Texans to live because we have such a surplus, and plus we still have the pandemic.
Mm-hmm.
The problem isn't that Texas is trying to be mean and push people out because of the pandemic. The problem is we still have the homeless rate. We still have pay wages that need to be raised. We still have a housing problem that needs to be fixed. And we're so busy focusing on the immigration problem that we, as a state, can't focus on the overall goal of getting Americans safely put in homes.
That's right. That's right. And I mean, we're a country. We're supposed to be in all of this together, right? So, I mean, technically, why should we get all the immigrants? We've taken in all that we can take. We need to spread the wealth of people. You know, I don't have anything against somebody coming to another country to better their life or to get away from a bad situation. And I know a lot of people say, well, you know, it's drugs going on, and yeah, you have that and everywhere, I'm pretty sure. But, you know, it's a humanitarian crisis right now, and it's growing. And if they're not going to stop it, then we need to spread the people evenly so that, you know, it doesn't bear the brunt with Texas. I mean, we have congregational members that visit the border, and do you know what they do? They do photo ops, and they go to Washington and do nothing because it's still going on. I mean, I'm all for someone coming in, getting across, you know, and making a better life, doing it the right way, getting their citizenship.
As many people, including Abbott, has stated, it's better if they were to come over here legally by means of actually doing the paperwork and going through the tests to get here than coming over illegally, because there has been a spikes in crimes all over America with illegal immigrants coming over the border and their children getting taken and them going missing, and nobody can report the crime because you can't report an illegal citizen. It hasn't become a problem with people from different nations coming to America. It has become a problem because they're not documented in America's system. So we can't help in the case of emergency. So not only that, it puts a strain on the police, the firemen, the FBI, the CIA. It puts a strain on everybody in the government because we don't have a categorized list of everybody that came through.
Yeah. And you know, this is a situation where many people are dying along the way. I think Judge Mike Bennett of Goliad County, he said there is a lot of carnage in their wake. I mean, a lot of these people are risking their lives. And you know, and I'm going to just say this, this is more like, I'm going to say spiritual. It's not religious, it's more of a spiritual take on this. I mean, we're supposed to be the land of the free, America, right? And we're the land of the free, correct? Mm-hmm. So these immigrants, once they do get to Texas, hey, if we can offer them better because our resources are drained and we could take them to New York and Philly and New Jersey and Cali and Portland and Arkansas.
Iowa.
Heck, Cleveland, Ohio and Youngstown, Ohio, they really need people to come in and migrate there, because those are poor cities, and I know, a lot of the immigrants that come in, a lot of them really do work. I've seen it. I know a couple of immigrants now from South America, Venezuela, that as soon as they got here, they got a job. They work their job every day. No complaints. They've got apartments, houses. Some of them are roommating together. So, we in helping them, because America, as you know it, the economy is, and the dollar is, that's all I've got to say. You can look on the news about that concerning, our alliance with Europe and how United States was dominant, but a lot of that is falling. And and to a sense, I say I wouldn't want to bring in the immigrants that would bring crime or anything like that, but bringing them in and spreading them out across the states, it really would help. And a lot of the small businesses that can't get employees, they could get employees? I mean, what's your thought on that?
I believe that the case with Ohio would be great, but it still rises the problem of an influx of, and I would not like to say this word lightly, an influx of non-registered Americans coming through. Mm-hmm. The only way we could ship them out is for them to go through the requirements to be an American. I know it sounds hard, but think of it as a logistics standpoint. If we were to take all the immigrants coming to Texas and move them over to Ohio, we don't have them registered in the system. They're not registered citizens. We're trying our best to try to get them to understand that, yes, it may be bad where you are, but in the long term of things, you have to try to put in the effort. There are Mexican Americans who are here who state every day that they push their hardest through every outcome with pennies on the dollar just to get in America. So why would we force them to do it and not force the thousands upon thousands of others that are coming in almost every other week to come in and do the same thing? It's only asking for a fair trade for fair service.
Yeah. I mean, there's so many variables with the invasion of immigrants. That's what Texas calls it. That's why, we're not saying that personally. We're saying what Texas calls it. There's so many variables to this whole immigration deal and all the people coming through. It's nice to see. I can't wait. We're going to sit back and watch. We're going to we're going to park this subject, and we're going to come back to this in a few months, because I really want to see how everything goes down. All right. So, do you have anything else to say about that?
No.
Well, what's the next one?
The next topic is the Great Resignation.
Oh, wow. Okay, this is a good one. The Great Resignation.
You want to start us off there?
I mean, I can. Well, okay, so the Great Resignation, as you know, you may have seen it in newspapers, magazines. You may have seen signs on small business people's doors. Or you may have heard people saying, oh, nobody wants to work. The Great Resignation. And I wanted to look into that, because I said, well, if everybody's resigning, where are they going? And I think a lot of people don't understand the whole structure of what's really going on. But hopefully we can break it down to you and give you some understanding today. But I do want to say this before you say what you have to say. Between 2019 and 2021, there were 9 million people working from home, right? Mm-hmm. So now, the amount of people as of September of 2022 is, guess what? 27.6 million. That is a 17.6% increase. It went from 9 million to 27.6 million, and it's still growing. So I kind of see why the Great Resignation is coming forth, and I'm going to let you talk a little bit about that too, Cryptid.
Now, I have a lot to say coming from somebody who is in the more recent generation.
Yeah, Gen Z.
Yeah.
Okay, Gen Z. Okay, wait. Before you say something, I just want to put out there what they're saying about your generation, and I don't think that they understand what's going on. They say, "Oh, Gen Z doesn't want to work," or if you're in a store and you only see one customer service person ringing up the register, they're like, "Nobody wants to work. They're all at home, not making money." But this is far from true. Break it down, Gen Z.
You see, now the effects of older generations, some have said that the generation currently with Gen Z and the forwarding generations, now we know it's not everyone, but a lot of them are calling the newest generation lazy. They don't know how to work hard, and it's not a way of how things used to be.
Yeah.
There's a new generational gap, which means new generation wealth. And I believe that it's more of a standpoint of people know their self-worth,
Yes.
and with the way many Americans who listen can agree and testament on this, that many of us barely make an average paycheck to pay the bills and skim by. Some people don't even make enough money to even go out as much as they used to, and many of them are young couples who just started getting together, and you have to combine how much you make together to even come close to even just skimming by and having a little money left over. And with the influx of less paying jobs in person and higher pay wages for stay-at-home jobs, coding, 3D modeling, all that fashion, it's more of an opportunity to go towards something that's going to pay more in the long run.
True.
Instead of staying in that stagnant field where, like, as of me, I worked at Six Flags, and staying in a stagnant field of $9 and some cents.
Oh, wow. How you supposed to pay for an apartment with $9 and some cents an hour?
An hour.
You're going to have to get a second job.
And on top of that, as management, I've heard you only make upwards of $10, and the CEO...
Stop it. $10 an hour?
$10.
Six Flags.
Six Flags.
Well, we're not going to say which Six Flags this is.
But they know who they will be. Like, it's companies in total are taking they're taking brass knuckles to society, especially to the working class, and a lot of people who work have families to provide for.
Yeah.
And that's the main falter I see nowadays with society. And I know that Diva here has a lot that she can add for that about how society has been knocking this down for a while now.
Oh gosh, yes. Y'all been working on it.
And now it's just tumbling down her face. What do you got to add to that?
Well, okay, it started with COVID. When they sent people home, it was almost like a reset of people's self-worth in their minds, even though there was a lot of stuff going on. How can I explain it? It's like when people went home and they were not making any money, and they got the rest out of the fuss and fuss of the workforce, a lot of people got to revamp and rethink their life. They're like, wait a minute. I could be doing better. I feel rested. I don't feel drained. I'm not going there making $2.15 an hour while the store is making $30,000 in a day, and I don't make but 70 or 80 or 90 or even 100 and something in tips. To me, what's going on is a lot of the small businesses, a lot of your medium-sized company, and a few of your corporate companies, because I want to go there with corporate companies in a second. They were paying the minimum or a little bit above the minimum, but they didn't realize that. I'm pretty sure they realize the cost of living is like what? Even at the dollar store, it's $1.25? They threw a quarter on there, plus your taxes. And that's just the low level. The rise of electricity, the rise of groceries, housing, rent. Over here in Austin, you're going to pay at least $2,000. Even though the housing market we all know is going to bubble, but you're going to pay $2,000 for a 1-bedroom downtown and up, And a lot of small businesses, I'm talking about not the ones that were barely making it or who just started, but a lot of your small businesses that have maybe more than one business or they're making lots of money, they're not taking into consideration Well, this person catches the bus or ride a bike or a scooter to my job every day. They help me to live my American dream. Well, I always say if you want to have a good running business template, your first customers is your employees. And they have not been looking at it like that. They haven't been, a lot of businesses haven't been training their managers about how to talk to people, treat people with compassion, but yet be professional. A lot of mispractices, a lot of being underpaid. And so when COVID came about and a lot of people stayed home and it was time to come back, that's where your corporate companies came in at. They did what I would like to call an LL Cool J. I'm the type of guy, that pull up from the back after, they done been fired, dumped, or whatever, or they left. And we're going into another age. What is this? The technological age?
A lot of technologically advanced things have been coming forth.
Yes.
And it has led the way to more jobs where people can no longer need to go into the office. They no longer need to clock in for a 9 to 5. We're on a stepping stone to building a society for the future.
Yeah.
Even now, as we speak, the government themselves have noticed it, and people think that means that there's going to be no Social Security. I haven't heard news about this. I don't know if it's true. But I'm going to keep my research, and maybe this might be a topic, but there's going to be talk of wages for humans just for living.
Yeah.
We have so many machines.
Universal basic income.
Universal basic income.
A lot of states have started that.
Yeah, a lot of states have been starting and talking about it, and I feel like a lot of the older generation don't see it, but many of the older generation do, and a lot of Gen Zers see that many of our jobs of stocking shelves and pushing up carts together, soon enough that could be done by a rudimentary machine.
Yeah.
That can logistically scan the parking lot, go get the carts, and bring them in quicker. And it's not really a worry.
No, not at all.
But it's a detriment to many people who don't have a career path.
Yes.
And that's what this big recession's about. You have many jobs, Uber, Lyft.
Yeah.
You have Favor, you have Shipt.
YouTube stars.
It's easier than ever to get out and get a platform started and start streaming or start talking or get invested in politics or get invested in being a newspaper. It's very easy to get into those fields nowadays thanks to technology.
Yes.
And more people are seeing that, wow, I can make this much and do this instead of trying to
break back and work.
Yeah. Breaking their back, working a normal 9 to 5 or struggling to work at that job at Aldi's.
And then my boss don't appreciate me.
Exactly.
Don't appreciate that I come in every day. I'm gonna use an example of this, and I'm not putting people out there. I'm not talking against the company, but I'm just going off of my experience. Family Dollar. Oh boy. Assistant manager. I was making, how much was I making an hour? I think I was making $13.75, and that was only because the government has sent that little check to the Family Dollar to pay their employees extra. And I won't go into my thoughts about that, but as an assistant manager at the time, making $13.75, I was doing as much as a manager, if not more. You're doing everything executive and then everything customer service. You're doing logistics, you're doing packing, you're cleaning, you're doing the register. You're doing thievery control, which I was never running after anybody, but I was doing all of that and I was getting underpaid, no appreciation. I got treated like a number. And I never got any bonuses. The manager got bonuses because of the good work that we put in, but we were never shown anything. And at the end of the day, I walked away. I walked away with no replacement job, and I didn't care because people are tired of breaking their backs and really working hard and not receiving compensation, barely surviving. And I just feel like that's not fair. And as far as what you said about Gen Z, the Great Resignation, I just want to clear this up for all the people that keep saying they don't want to work. Yes, they're working, but they're just not working for you because you don't pay enough money for them to survive in an economy that's rising. And that's where the corporate tech companies came in and it took all your people. That's why you can't find anybody. So if you're wondering where are the potential employees are at, they're with the corporate companies answering their customer service calls, doing solving things, doing orders, whatever, because a lot of stuff is being done online now. And they're making money, and because the corporate companies don't have to deal with the overhead, they can pay them anywhere from 15 on up to, hey, there was one for $20 an hour, and it was just plain customer service, 8 hours a day. How can you beat that? Why would I go back? Would you? Why would I go back to a regular job that just wants to pay me anywhere between 10 to 13, 25 an hour, when I can stay at home, wake up in the morning an hour before my shift, cook breakfast in my pajamas, and then slowly go into my little corner where my office is at and answer calls and kind of be my own management and my own boss, and I don't have nobody hollering at me, nobody disrespecting me, any of that, and I'm getting paid. So that's what the Great Resignation is really about. It's not about people not wanting to work. It's a new age that is coming about. And you're right, Cryptid, what you said about back in the day. Back in the day, people did work hard and got 401ks and all of this, but that era is over.
Yeah. It's sad news for 401ks. Many people who do have one now currently have stated that it doesn't pay out as much. And the one thing I will tell everybody, I'm not coming out of a place of malice towards anything.
Yeah.
I've worked in the field. I know that sometimes you have to do it, and I know a lot of people are working because sometimes you just really have to get the money. You got kids.
Yeah.
You got bills. I respect that. But take a moment, even if it's not when you're working, if you clock out, sit down for a moment, at least for an hour, and take a moment. There are programs that can help you get out of that. This is the year 2022. We're about to go in 2023 in less than a month from now. Less than a month, it will be a whole new year. Take that time. There are people out here working security jobs. Just recently, a man had a TikTok where he was on his Switch reading Percy Jackson. He's making 20-something an hour sitting in his car watching an empty lot.
Yeah.
By towers.
Yeah.
Those giant metal towers you be seeing, that's all he's doing.
Yep. You don't have to get paid less anymore. That's what this Great Resignation is about.
It's telling everybody it's time to know your self-worth. Even if that's not your thing and you want to do armed security, and even if you have a background, backgrounds don't matter. There's different ways to get around that. I would just say take the time and actually listen and try to find a way, even if it's getting a degree in something like coding simple, or if you're an artist and you like modeling, get into rendering in Blender and Unity and go work for a gaming company. There's so many opportunities for better paying jobs.
Alternatives.
There's so many.
It's not like it was. Yeah.
It's not. And I've convinced many people who work temp agencies. I worked a temp agency for $100 a day. I've done that. There's many other jobs where you can set your hours. Always think of the bigger picture. That's all the Great Resignation is. Think of the bigger picture. There's no more thinking small.
That's right.
You got to think bigger than your current outcome in life. If you don't, then that's how the corporations get their claws in you, and you just be a cog in the machine.
Yep. Or them small businesses. They'll get their cog in you too.
And that's it.
And I mean, don't get me wrong. I know there's small businesses just starting off, and I mean, but even if you have to, let me play the upside of this. Even like as I'm talking to the small business owners, even if you had to hire somebody at $10 an hour, and you know that is not the greatest pay, let's be honest. You know, in your mind, when you're offering that person anywhere from $10 to $12 an hour, you know that's not going to take care of their livelihood. And as a small business owner or an owner of any other, type of deal, you got to have an appreciation for that.
Indeed.
And I think the former was the lack of appreciation that you have people. Yes, they need to come to work to make money, but it also goes that is your first customer, your employee. And I mean, they just have to realize. I mean, they just really have to realize.
They do. A lot of corporations need to take a look inwards and stop doing the fact of, oh, this is just a worker, they're gonna do their things. There's a lot of big corporations that have enough money to at least provide lunches and breakfast, donuts and bagels. And just it doesn't have to be donuts, bagels, and bacon.
And you know, CareNet used to be that way because I used to work at CareNet over in San Antonio, Texas, and CareNet used to do that for their people. They used to have like a speaker come in, or they would give us a free lunch maybe once or twice out of the month, or they'll have a food truck come and all we got to pay is $2 because they paid the rest. And where I was going was, even if you have to hire a person at a very lowly rate that you know that cannot survive off of, they'll survive in their way if they're coming to you so they know what they're doing. But as an owner taking somebody in and you know that there's not a lot of employees out there, you got to do other things to kind of compensate for that. Even a good morning, thank you for being here. If you're a food shop, make sure your employees get a free meal. Don't charge them for it because you know you're not paying them enough anyway to survive.
There's been many situations where I have worked and I have been in the food industry. Yes, I am a chef. I have worked in restaurants. I've been a sous chef. I've done it all. I've been a dishwasher. I've been a waiter. The thing of the matter is, if you have any access or any small things just to give, like let's say your employee comes in 6 in the morning and you notice they're tired, be like, oh, I made coffee. This is the customer's coffee, but I got a second coffee pot. This is for you. Take a sip of coffee. I used to work at a pizzeria. I was a chef at a pizzeria for almost 3 years. And all I would do is cook pizza, bread, all that. And every time I would cook, they had a separate machine for the employees to go get you a lemonade, get you a water, get you a Pepsi. And then after lunch, even if you wanted to, they didn't deduct your lunch off your paycheck. Since you're working for below minimum wage and they know you could be off making more, they offered the incentive, be like, okay. And even after that, at night, I would go home to provide for my little brothers and sisters when times were tough, and I would bring home pizza, breadsticks. There would times
an employee can appreciate that.
Exactly. That would show the boss appreciates the employee, and that builds a sign of respect
and loyalty.
Exactly.
Loyalty.
Because humans are not machines. Humans are not built to go through life in a stagnant do this, do this, do this. We all have our own issues, and I think it's time that as a country we stop addressing everybody as worker bees and we start addressing people as just human beings trying to make it.
Thank you. Yes. I mean, I guess we could go on with this one all day long, but we're not. We're not. We're going to go ahead and, because we know you got things to do, we're going to finish up with 4 and 5. We're going to touch base on this. I think we're going to come back to these two also, but let's talk about the Nation Report Card. It shows that there has been a huge dip in math and reading.
Yeah.
And that the pandemic erased 2 decades of progress. That's 20 years, by the way. 20 years of math and reading progress with our students. This is saying a lot right here.
Yes.
This is saying a lot. So what? Our students are failing, like in the country, because at one point in time, America was really high. Now we're really low.
I feel and I know that it seems that as Video Breakfast, it's our job to not come at people in a more attackative way or more like an offensive way.
Yeah.
But I will have to say this, and I know multiple people in multiple generations are dealing with a lot of stuff, especially generational trauma. It has been passed down, and I understand this because I was born in 1997. I was just the beginning of Gen Z. I know how it feels to be on that cusp of you have to do it yourself, you have to push yourself, you have to strive. But with the generational trauma, it has raised most of the older Gen Z into adults who don't really know how to get involved with their kids. It's so bad that I recently looked up a survey that it is revealed more than 60% of parents
What?
have been unable to even start helping their kids from kindergarten all the way to 8th, and they admit having trouble helping with homework or even getting involved with their kids' schooling like that, other than going into parent-teacher conference, reading report cards. And I understand from somebody who I haven't had a kid. I've raised my brothers and sisters, 7 of them. I've raised them, and to coming into the fact of, I understand where you're coming from. It's hard to hop in when nobody hopped in with you, but. And this is going to go into the 5th topic as well. It's the parent state of America. If parents want their kids to do better, it's going to have to be more of a hands-on environment.
You can't just expect the teacher to do it.
You can't.
Teacher, do it all.
And the problem isn't just that. There's been many cases where teachers nowadays have gone off the deep end. Many of the good teachers aren't in schools.
No, a lot of them left. No offense to any teacher that is a good teacher that's in there now. We're talking about you bad teachers. You know who you are.
All you good ones, I understand you're trying your best. And I understand it's not just the teachers that are the problem sometimes. And most of the parents, most of you know who you are. I'm not saying every parent, but most of you know who you are. When your kid is going through something, you try to, and I'm going to touch on this in the topic more and when we go to 5.
Well, let's put them together, because to a sense, the parent state and the report card that's like, let's mix that together. Like,
let's mix that
scramble it like eggs.
Yeah.
How about that?
Let's scramble the eggs for today's breakfast. It's more of parents looking into pushing their kids into technology, and I understand that it is.
Siri, watch my kid.
Yeah, it's like saying, Alexa, please watch Damien for 5 minutes. And I understand that as a parent, kids want and desires, they see more technology, PlayStation 5s, computer setups, Xboxes, Switches. The money just comes flowing in from these companies. And I know a lot of parents think, wow, these companies are trying to manipulate my kid. But maybe it's not just the kid trying to escape with the technology. It's more of the kids go through things. And that's the one thing that parents don't seem to understand.
Bullying.
Yeah. A lot of parents are bullies, and you know who you are out there. I've seen y'all on TikTok. I've seen y'all on social media.
Oh, have we seen you?
Like, I've been watching for some time now.
They've been themselves out there.
Oh, yeah. Smashing their kids' Xboxes, smashing the PlayStation,
no,
the TV,
don't do that.
the phone.
Send it to us.
But in the end, it only creates a place of malice between a parent and their child. I believe that true parenting is understanding that a kid is a human. They're a young adult who's going through life, and they don't fully understand what the world has to offer. But you, the parent, have been through that.
That's what you're there for.
And with your expertise in that subject, you're supposed to come down and say, listen, I know you're probably going through this and this because I went through this. And a lot of my Gen Z parents know what this has been like going through as a teenager. And going through that struggle of life and not understanding what's going on and all these things getting tossed at you and getting a job for the first time and then getting your first bill and learning how money works and learning how to save. And it was never really fundamentally put into the parents. So how can they fundamentally put it into the kids?
Yeah, so it's like a generation dropped the ball in between.
Indeed, and it created a domino effect. And I understand that a lot of the adult Gen Zers would like to, in a ways, attack, but not attack physically, the people who put them there. But we also have to remember, and I've learned this myself, we can't attack the past generation because they're also healing from what happened to them. It's just been a domino effect since it started.
And then a 2-parent household has been declining.
Yeah, two-parent households are not much of a thing. In much respect to my single-parent household, I'm no disrespect to you, no disrespect at all. I understand that circumstances in life can get crazy.
Yeah,
I understand life throws a lot at us, especially in relationships. And I understand that sometimes relationships just end up being on the rocky road and end up crumbling.
Yeah, that's true.
But remember, every parent out there, even all to the young women and older women out there pregnant with their first baby, remember, when you become a parent, that's a big responsibility.
It is. That's a human.
That's a human.
A whole nother human you have to take care of.
And in a way, I learned this analogy from Diva. you have to treat a baby like planting a tree. It's gonna grow. It's gonna get curious, and its roots are gonna spread. It's up to you to make sure you guide it to nutrients.
That's right.
You show it, you nurture it, so when it grows big and strong, it remembers that, wow, I don't know what's going on, Mom. I have a problem with this. It's up to the parent to be like, I've been through that. Let me explain to you what you can and can't do. What's the best pros and cons for it. And even if the kid backlashes and say they have it, it's not the kid telling you that you don't know what you're saying, like most parents out there who think that. It's the kid telling you that they're just panicking.
Yeah.
They're a small adult. They're panicking. Most of the brain doesn't fully develop until 25.
Yeah.
And most kids be out on the streets, and most of Gen Z knows this, be out on the street before they even hit 18.
No, I seen some 10-year-olds walking down the sidewalk at 1:30 in the morning.
Exactly.
And my question was, where is your mother? Or your daddy or uncle or auntie, somebody? I mean, the parent state, because the parent state also spills into the school system as far as the learning. They kind of cohabitate with one another. And the parent state in America, you have parents that, to the parents that are out there getting it, applauding to you. To the parents that are trying, I applaud you. But to the bad parents that are they just living, and they're just like, okay, this is what it is, and you know who you are. I mean, that's not the right. That's why we're having a lot of the issues that we're having. And then other family members like grandmothers and grandfathers, they see this going on with their adult child that is not a child, they're an adult, but I'm just trying to describe it the best way that I can. Sometimes it's good to step in and not tell them what to do, your daughter or your son, but give them advice. These days, too many people are quick to turn their head. And I mean, you see these situations where, that's why they made whooping kids illegal, because it got to the point I've never was one for beating on somebody. Call it what you'd like. I hear a lot of people say, well, I got whooped when I was growing up and look how it turned out. But, believe it or not, I even experimented with my own son and daughter. They didn't receive whoopings, and guess what? They're upstanding citizens. They're not out there. They didn't get beat with the belt. If anything, that traumatizes you. I know it traumatized me. And to me, it was a bit much. And I know it traumatizes some kids, because you see those videos on Facebook where the lady is beating the baby upside down. It's a lot of mental issues going on too. A lot of drug issues, popping pills, all of that. And the parent state is not in a good state. I mean, 54% of black children are being raised in single household, and 29% Hispanic. So we most definitely got to put in a change in the community and have programs that help parents more, instead of enabling certain things. And all of that, it all goes down that road from parenting to home to schools. Because at one point in time, our students were scholar back in the day, but now, because of things not being implemented and there's been rip-off of monies from schools, or not enough money being put in, it changes the whole schematic. And that's kind of concerning for the future.
Yep. Indeed. I agree on that. It's very concerning to see the grim, and I mean that in a more literal sense. It's a more grim future for schooling. Many schools have been finding out, and it's sad news, that they have been ripping millions and millions of dollars from the school system. And I understand that even a lot of teachers, and respect to anybody, and I mean anybody out there who is a teacher or even work in the school system, if you're going out to Walmart to buy school supplies because you know that little child's going to come in there, and you know their parents not going to give them nothing on that school supply list, and you give them a bunch of school supply, I have mad respect for that.
Yes, mad respect.
To be honest with you all, and anybody that comes to listen, even if you listen to this now, or it's the year 2024 and you're listening to it the first time and just getting the grasp of what we do here, I have respect for the parents and communities who are trying to stand up for this injustice. I have respect for the teachers who wake up every day and who are good teachers and actually try to help them. But we should in 2023 not allow at all is allow people, and I know there's many teachers out there who are disrespecting special kids, and a lot of the black kids get told that they're arrogant or they don't know how to act because they want to raise their hand and they'll get called on. I believe that in 2023 it should be, in a way, this is what Video Breakfast is. In the year 2023, the start of 2022, this should be the year of healing. This should be a year of coming together. And yeah, we face many problems, but as a society, as a whole community, as a country, we built on a standpoint of we're tightly knit. We're all in this together. We're all here. We might as well come together, stop the hate. Let's stop doing this in the hospitals. Let's stop doing this in the homes. Let's stop doing this in the schools. Let's stop doing this at the border. Let's come together and become as great as we need to be.
Start solving things.
Start solving. We have smart people here, but they're so worried about the problem of everything else that I feel as if we would just take the time to come together more and take the time to actually listen, we would do a lot more good than we would end up doing bad.
Okay. Well, that's your take on that?
Yeah, that's it. That's my take on that.
Well, so those were the top 5 things that we wanted to talk about today. The former nurse Redonda Vaught, the invasion of immigrants, that's what Texas calls it, the Great Resignation, our nation report card, and the dip in math and reading in our school systems, and the parent state of America. If you have anything to say or you want to put a comment, tell us what you think about the situation or how you think some things can be solved. You never know. I might take and submit those answers to other people and say it was her, it was him. So let's go ahead on to Video Breakfast TV's top YouTube influencer pick on the plate for today is Mr. Beast. If you don't know about Mr. Beast, you should go check him out. He is really doing some amazing things. And I'm going to let Cryptid do the takeaway on Mr. Beast and why we picked him. Here's why.
Yes, Mr. Beast, and I know he may or may not hear it. I know a lot of his fans do be around and they do hear things. But if you do see us, we will be posting this on YouTube. If Mr. Beast do want to reach out to us, we will. I would love to have just a conversation with such a kind-hearted man.
Yes, he does a lot, y'all.
Everybody that he has helped, regardless of what you hear, he has given them all the tools they need to keep things.
Yeah.
Many have thought that when he gave the one of his people a bunch of Lamborghinis, he actually gave them all the ability to keep up maintenance in a garage for them. He does pay off all the things for the people who win islands. He's overall a really swell dude.
Yes, I saw. I didn't know about Mr. Beast till you hooked me on to Mr. Beast.
Yes,
I was like,
indeed.
wow, he really is a beast, and that's in a good way, Mr. Beast.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I feel like if a lot of rich people, overly rich, when I say overly rich people, I know Oprah did it for tax purposes. I get that. And she probably had a warm heart and did that too, where you got like 30-something people a car. If a lot of rich people would take and invest their money and make it work in the community and to help people, it would help the economy too.
I believe so.
I think they're standing scared up there with their money on the cliff, but you got to live life. The universe allots you that money to make a difference. To whom much is given, much is required. And I'm not talking about the ones that go and get 25 cars. I mean, they have the right to do what they want to with their money, but as a person that gets on that status, you become like a leader. You get held to a responsibility.
Yeah. Yes. And this just goes out to Mr. Beast and
all
all
right,
the people
Mr.
at
Beast.
it.
Yeah.
You keep doing what you're doing, Mr. Beast, and you keep up that good work out there.
Okay.
Because Video Breakfast, we got your back when
That's
it comes
right.
to anything.
That's right.
In another news, we're going to give a shout out to somebody who is in the music industry. Not that mainstream, but we're going to give a shout out to him so you can let him know who he is and maybe come out to see him. It's Soul Man Sam. He performed at the Skylark Lounge every couple weekends.
Yes, in Austin, Texas.
Yes.
On Airport Boulevard. In
Indeed.
Skylark. That's SKYLARK Lounge. And to my understanding, he's been in the industry for a long time. He's very in the live music industry. And yeah, he performs over at the Skylark Lounge, which according to Google, the Skylark Lounge is the best dive bar in Austin, Texas. So if you ever have some time out, you might want to skip over there. I think they're closed on Monday and Tuesdays, but Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, they're popping. I know they do have events, well, closed events on Mondays and Tuesdays, but check them out on Wednesday through Sunday. And I know Soul Man Sam is going to be in that lineup. All right, so I guess that was our YouTube influencer, Mr. Beast, and our artist, Soul Man Sam. Shout out to you, Soul Man Sam, from Diva Divine and Cryptic Viking. And while finishing up breakfast, let's do one of my positive quotes for today. And I love this. When I hear somebody say, you got me going in circles. If you find yourself going in circles, then it's time to take notes and learn the lesson. And I mean exactly what I said. If you find yourself in a situation of, say, you find yourself picking a same type of mate, maybe they drink too much, and you let that go, and then you find yourself picking somebody that drink too much. There's some lesson that you were supposed to learn. I'm not going to say, well, stop dealing with somebody that's drinking. No, I'm going to say whatever it was you were supposed to learn, you didn't learn it because you're still going through the same thing. When we go through things in life that are hard or things that make us raise an eyebrow or open an eye, we're always supposed to sit back like a wise man and take notes and get the takeaway, learn the lesson from it. And I mean, that's just that. Did you have anything else to say?
I just want to thank you all for listening and stopping by and having breakfast with us today. And hopefully, again, you come sit at the table, pour yourself a nice cup of coffee, and have a good day with Video Breakfast.
All right. And thank you for listening to our first premiere. We're looking forward to coming back and talking with you again. Have a wonderful Monday.